time to look at materials and textures here in Cinema 4D. The materials are what's going to really bring the models to life, whether you need something that's reflective or bumpy or that is self-illuminating. This is where it's all going to happen here in the materials. Let's come on down to the Material Manager, which is right here, and we'll just double click to create a new material. After this, if we want to actually get inside this material, we can come over here into the attribute editor and we can look over here, or we can just double click on the material itself and we get the material editor. And this is basically where all the magic happens. So I'm just going to close that for a second. So depending on the material that we have selected, that is what you're going to have over here in the attributes manager to work with. So if I select material 1, you can see material 1 is selected. If I click over here to the material, you can see that we have material selected. Now we have our tabs here. And if we go to the basic tab, we can see that we have all of these options. So depending on what you have checked here, you're going to get another tab up here. So if we wanted to check luminance, then we're going to have the luminance tab, and we'll have options there. Likewise, if we click on reflection, then we're going to have a reflection tab, and we have parameters that we can work with on that tab. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of these for a second, and we'll just create a brand new material with all the defaults. I am going to go ahead and put a cube in the scene, and I'm going to put this material on the cube. Again, I can drag it and put it on the cube by dragging specifically here, or I can put it on the cube in the object manager. So I'm going to just click here in the object manager, let go, and my material is now on my cube. So once we've done that, we have our texture tag right here on the material, and it's called texture tag material. That's because it's the default name material, or MAT. So if I want to change that, I can double click there and call this texture 1. And if we come back over here, now you'll see that we have texture 1 tag on our cube. Likewise, you could make that same change, that same name change over here in the basic tab over in the attributes manager by calling this texture 2. And now that updates in all of our other places. So now we have texture 2 over here. Now the attribute manager, I said, is one way to work. I personally like to work by clicking on the texture and having the material editor come up. So let's just take a look at making some changes here. So I'm going to look at the color channel first. And if I come over here and click on the color, I get my color picker. From here, I can just drag around in here and select different colors. I can also go for different hues up here. And then I can control the different saturations. I can also go ahead and just, if I know the color that I'm looking for, I can dial that information in right here. So if you know the RGB, you could type that in right here. I click OK. You can see that that color updates in my scene. Now, one point I want to make, don't ever trust what you're looking at here in your scene as far as the color. If you really want to see what your color is looking like, I would suggest that you either render view or render to picture viewer to get a better idea of what it's actually looking like. So just looking at the color right in here, this is an approximation based on your graphics card. Now, another way to work is using the interactive render region. So if I come over here and click on interactive render region, then you can see I have a rendered view of my cube. And there's a little triangle here. If I click and drag that all the way up, that's going to increase my quality of the render. But what I can do now is come over here to my material, double click this, and any changes that I make are going to update in here interactively. So if I come over here, choose a deep purple, click OK, you can see that that happens interactively right here. So if you're making a lot of changes, this may be a better way for you to work. Some other parameters here in the color would be the brightness, and we can control the brightness here. So if we want to go way above 100, we can do that. And we're going to get some more blown out looking color. We can go way over that if we wanted to, or way down. All right. You can also come over to the texture dropdown and you can add shaders to your material. So if I come over here and take a look at some surfaces, maybe I want to put a checkerboard on there. And it's just that easy. Now, if I wanted to go a little deeper into the checkerboard, I can click on the checkerboard and we go in here and we could actually change our color. Maybe we wanted a red and a magenta. And we wanted the frequency to be 3x3. You can see we're getting that updated here. Now, let's say I didn't like that at all. I can go up one level by clicking here. And I could click on this again and click on clear. And that takes me back to my base color. Now let's go back in. Let's say that we wanted to add a little noise. That's going to put the noise on our cube. And again, to edit the noise, we could click on here and we could play around with some different options. So maybe we wanted to come and take our global scale from 100% to 500%. And then we start getting something like this. And again, we could change our colors and just tons and tons and tons of options. Maybe we like that a little better. We can also come in here and click on this little drop down here and we can see what our different noise options would be. So if we don't like the noise we're using, maybe we want to go with something like over. We click on that and you can see the update here. And something to keep in mind is that all of these are animatable, so you can have your noise animating. You could loop the animation. Just a lot of different options you have here. Okay, so that's the basics of materials here in Cinema 4D.